Warzone in 2025 really needs some help, but unfortunately enough, that's one of those things that we're going to not talk about a lot of what they need to do and more of what you can do as a viewer or as a player or as just somebody that enjoys the Call of Duty franchise. So we're going to drop in here and I'm going to show you my DM25. I am dropping into Warzone Bootcamp because the game's crashing a ton on almost every mode that I try to play that isn't BR, and I wanted something that was a little more relaxed so I can sit here and talk to you. So I am dropping in solo onto the Warzone Bootcamp. Shout out to my community for letting me know that this even exists, because I don't mess with it. But, so one of the things that we need to talk about is in Warzone 2025, we're looking at a lot of things that, that we as a community can do. Obviously, I've been boycotting the store since August, so Season 5 of last year. That was pretty much when the game stopped being balanced. It's basically about the time when the SCG and the DIT tier and all that started taking over. And I started getting really frustrated with the fact that it felt like Call of Duty had stopped even attempting to work through the game and its issues. Well, fast forward a little bit, we learned that Call of Duty basically did because they just dropped all of the stuff on top of Ravensoft for the integration for the Black Ops 6 stuff that we ended up with now. We learned that they only had about 6 months to do this entire Black Ops 6 integration, and so most of that caused the issues that we had, which is first off, the lack of content through the entire cycle of the Urzikstan map. And then on top of that, the lack of response time in the Black Ops 6 stuff, because they're still having to fix all the stuff they had to work on for the first 6 months of this game, or, well, the first 6 months before this game even came out, before they even had a chance to start working on making the game better. And we lost a lot of quality life stuff. So what can we do as a community to hopefully be able to see this game be in a working order before we get to Verdansk? Verdansk is supposed to be coming out around March. It's supposed to be Season 3. We're looking about running into Season 2. Here at the end of the month, it is the release date of the January 28th. They confirmed that inside of their most recent update, where they're talking about why they changed what they did inside of the Black Ops 6 Zombies Directed Mode. If you're not familiar with that, Black Ops 6 Zombies Directed Mode ended up getting nerfed, so that way that you couldn't sit there and just continuously farm over and over and over again headshots, which was exactly what people were mostly using it for, because people who play zombies are pretty rabid about completing those challenges. So most of them have already done it before the directed modes even came out. So they were mostly just finding ways to get good trains of zombies to get headshots to unlock their camos, which I think is perfectly fine. And eventually enough, Call of Duty came back around to it, and they said, okay, you know what, sorry, we reverted that. But what it took was a very vocal community to get them to revert that. So I, myself, am going to challenge you to be a vocal part of the community. I know that you'll feel like you don't have as much power as a content creator because they don't listen to the regular people or something like that. Because I've been in that point as well, frequently. And even since I've become a content creator, I frequently feel like as a smaller one, they don't listen to me all the time either. But one of the big things I have learned is that they do listen to mob mentality. So the more of us that we can get to respectfully ask for certain things, the better our chances are to actually receive the updates that we're wanting to see. I would personally love to see them, you know, put more effort into fixing these things quickly. They most recently put out a update almost instantly when one of the skins was broken, and they fixed it almost instantly. And I know that I think probably a lot of that comes down into the actual skin department and not specifically the like gameplay department, but it's one of those things that they need to be working together on something. One of the big things I've been asking for is Call of Duty to go to a standalone model for Warzone, as I find a standalone model would be extremely helpful for reducing the amount of spaghetti code that we currently deal with inside of Warzone, which is because they're trying to always tie in the most recent launch with Warzone, and they try to tie in the most recent updates with Warzone to the multiplayer, to the zombies and stuff. And I know that Warzone is a massive cash cow for Call of Duty. it probably does more to sell the bundles and people to encourage them to buy the multiplayer than the multiplayer does. And, you know, I can't expect them to completely just toss one or the other aside, because there's going to be a dedicated player base. There's probably people out here watching me right now that don't even play Warzone, that all they really want to do is go play multiplayer. They want to go play zombies. But it's broken for all of us right now. So as a community, we really all just need to kind of get together and try to be as vocal as we can about what we want fixed. Obviously, the anti-cheat is one of the biggest parts. The anti-cheat has been a problem since it was introduced, and it's been a problem since before it was introduced. Let's be honest, Call of Duty has always had a lot of cheaters, and I don't expect cheaters to be gone completely. I just want to get in and have fun and not have to question necessarily if the person who's shooting me is using some third-party program. And of course, it's a massive issue across all multiplayer games. This isn't a Call of Duty only issue, but it is a issue that is quite prevalent in Call of Duty, so we obviously have to talk about that. We obviously would love to see better servers. People are tired of dying around corners, right? So as a community, we want to ask for either A, them to go through and explain a bit better on why they can't update our servers. They've gone through and they've talked about skill-based matchmaking or engagement-optimized matchmaking, whatever they want to call it or whatever we want to call it. But realistically, they've gone through and have explained these systems. So it would be amazing if Call of Duty would actually take the time to sit down and explain why their servers can't be upgraded. I'm not a dev. I only have worked with devs multiple times. So I can't sit here and say, oh, this should be an easy thing to update, because I don't know that. I don't know that. Maybe it's integral to their entire part that the entire game has to run it at 10 hertz. Maybe the game just doesn't work if it starts getting too many updates. It causes, you know, double bullets or whatever. But as of right now, we have no information about why the game runs the way it does and why it runs as poorly as it does. We would love to be given this kind of level of information. And I think what it mostly comes down to is we're all in the community just asking for a little bit of transparency. We had a moment for a while where Call of Duty was doing a really good job. Even when Ricochet first came out, they were talking about the number of cheaters they were banning each week and each month and how that was affecting the game and what they were going to do with more and the methods in which they were going about it to fix the cheating issues and the deterrent systems they were using to troll the cheaters while they were able to, you know, mine more data from them. There was so much stuff that they were offering just openly. And I would love to return to a situation in where we're getting that kind of information back. You know, it's not something that I feel like they can't do anymore. They were doing it before. So what happened on one end or another that prevents them from considering or at least talking about why they're doing the things that they're doing? Open communication lines goes a really, really long way for communities. There's a lot of games that, even though they've been broken multiple times, if they're willing to have the communication with their player base and willing to put aside, you know, a couple of their earnings to fix the game, people will spend more money on it. Games like Rainbow Six Siege are an excellent situation where they set aside an entire section of their game, or at least an entire section of their updates, to focus just specifically on the game and its health and its functions. And Call of Duty needs an Operation Health. There's really no other way to put it. We need an Operation Health. We need a situation in where Call of Duty stops going, oh, we need $15 billion more today. You know?
No, he got me too. Get out of here.
We need it to stop being about which new bundle are you releasing. How about you tell us which way you're going through and fixing the game? And that's what we need. As a community, we need to get together about making sure that we're vocal. We're like, hey, we don't need an update to the way that the servers run it, or to the way that the what map looks like. If you're not going to update the map, at least let us know that you're updating the back end, or at least let us know that you're updating the front end, or at least let us know that you're fixing these hang crashes that we're dealing with. You know, we need some vocal. We need some vocals from them, and I think that's what we need to be very adamant about talking about. Is we need the game to be the primary focus. I know I've spent a ton of money and a ton of time on this game, and I would be willing to spend more money and time on this game if I felt like the game was putting its time in for me as a player. So obviously this is again a moment where I like to hear where your all's thoughts are. Is Call of Duty done for you? Or do you think that they could potentially come back and fix it, hopefully in time before Verdansk, so that way you could enjoy the game more again? I would love to have this game still be one of the games I play most frequently. But obviously for me, Marvel Rivals and Delta Force have really taken over a lot of my own personal time. And if you're a big fan of Marvel Rivals, I have something for you right over there too.